Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making a conditioning beard balm. So I was talking with my friend Dallas a couple days ago, and he had his beard at sort of like the scruffy hipster stage, and he was trying to figure out what he should do with it. He was thinking mutton chops, failing that, like a Magnum PI mustache. Spoiler alert, he didn't keep either of those things, and he is now clean shaven. But anyhow, he was telling me about how in his researching adventures of learning about all the different varieties and stylings of facial hair he could choose to sport, he'd learned about all these different products that one could use in their beard. And he'd learned about beard balm and beard oils and beard shampoos and beard conditioners and all kinds of things. And so we were talking about them, and I was trying to explain to him sort of what they do. And he was like, so beard balms condition your beard? And I was like, well, technically, something that conditions is cationic. And then his eyes glazed over, and I got to thinking about a properly conditioning beard balm. So here we are. What makes this beard balm truly conditioning is the inclusion of BTMS 50, which is a cationic emulsifying wax. So this ingredient is really, really neat. When you have it in your hair, it adsorbs to your hair, creates a lovely thin, like very, very thin coating on it, which makes your hair trap moisture better, and it makes it a lot softer and silkier and sort of slides past itself a little bit more easily, so it's less prone to tangles. Is a very cool thing. So figured, why don't we use these in beards? I feel like beards would enjoy all of those awesome things, and so yeah, this beard balm. Another super awesome thing about this beard balm is it has a really, really great creamy consistency to it. So I have found that I have a bit of a following of beard balm aficionados here on YouTube, and a couple of them have been asking me about how to make creamier kind of beard balms, and so here's one. So if you're looking for inspiration on creamier beard balms, this is a great place to start. I think it's very cool. It's got a very neat sort of like squishy, creamy, yeah, we'll take a closer look at the end of the video, but it's pretty cool. Because the BTMS 50 is performing that conditioning role in the conditioning beard balm, please don't substitute it out. You could use BTMS 25 instead of BTMS 50. They're both cationic conditioning ingredients. BTMS 50 has more conditioning ingredients in it than the 25 does, but they should both do the trick. But yeah, please don't use like a Polo wax or an emulsifying wax, because it's not conditioning. It won't completely break the recipe, but it won't be a conditioning recipe. It'll just be like a beard balm recipe with emulsifying wax in it. Something else that's really, really neat about this recipe having a bit of emulsifying wax in it is that it rinses out really, really well. And if you want to apply it to your beard while it's a little bit damp, it'll actually work in with the oils in your beard and really help keep it nice and hydrated and conditioning. And yes, I really should get one of those knit beard things. It would be fantastic for videos like this. Despite the inclusion of a rather fancy sounding BTMS 50, this beard balm comes together pretty much just like any other one. You kind of melt everything together. We are going to stir this one as it cools because of how the BTMS 50 thickens up. We want it to be nice and creamy, so we're just gonna stir, 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 and then mash in your essential oils, and voila! That's about it. It's really, really, really simple and really lovely. So come on, let's get started. We'll begin by measuring all of our ingredients into a small saucepan. Now, usually I would do a water bath, but I find that BTMS 50 doesn't melt particularly well in a water bath, at least at the altitude I'm at, so I'm using direct heat. But if you live somewhere closer to sea level, you might find a water bath works for you. So, we'll need 6 grams of BTMS 50, 2 grams of beeswax, 4 grams of castor oil, 8 grams of camellia seed oil, 5 grams of mango butter, and 2 drops of vitamin E. So to melt this together, I'm going to go pop this little tiny saucepan on my stove over direct heat on low, and I'm going to keep a very close eye on it. Because we're not using a water bath, it's much easier to scorch your oil. So it's really, really important to keep an eye on things as they melt. So here we are, all melted through, and as I start to stir this, you'll get an idea of why we melted it over direct heat, because you can see it's going to start to thicken up quite quickly. You're going to start to see wisps of the mixture starting to cool and solidify, and it will start to clump up on your spatula, so you're going to want to make sure you're scraping that down and reincorporating that. So what I'm doing right now is I'm stirring it to keep it creamy and uniform until it cools down enough to add our essential oils. Because we melted this over direct heat is quite a bit hotter than it would be if we had done it in a water bath. So I want to let the mixture cool before we add our essential oils. So I'm just going to stir away, otherwise it will solidify, and then when you try to blend the essential oils in, it'll kind of be clumpy. So stir, stir, stir. All right, so I'm not too worried about that sort of seizing and getting too clumpy right now, so we can put our spatula down for a moment and grab our essential oils. So I definitely have sort of summer forests on the brain, so I grabbed a couple really nice foresty coniferous tree essential oils. So I've got pine and spruce, both of which smell basically like summer to me here in the Canadian Rockies. And then a bit of Australian cypress for just a really interesting, almost peppery, spicy note. So if you don't have pine and spruce, you can sort of use one or the other. Fir balsam is also a good option. Just choose a fresh sort of Christmas tree smelling coniferous. Cedarwood is too soft for the effect that I'm going for here. Okay, I'm going to put this aside so this starts to cool a bit faster. Okay, so this is still quite hot to the touch, so going to let that cool for another minute or so and come back. It's been 2 minutes, and you can see this really starts to thicken up quite a lot in even just 2 minutes. So we are going to quickly get this moving again, and then we'll, at this point in time, basically just mash in our essential oils. And this is no longer so hot that I'm worried that they'll just basically evaporate as soon as we add them. So we're going to do 5 drops each of pine and spruce and 2 of cypress. All right, now we can move this to our tin. Obviously, this is not going to be a beautiful, smooth pour, but we do get a really neat consistency, which I think is very cool and quite unique for a beard balm. So now at this point in time, all that's left to do is let this set up. Because it doesn't have a ton of wax in it, I'd give it a couple hours to really get a feel for the final consistency. All right, and here is our finished setup beard balm. It's actually been a couple days because, well, you know, life. But because it's been a couple days, we'll be able to get a really good feel for the consistency of it. So it presses through with a firm finger, but as you can see, it's not shattering, it's just kind of soft, which I think is awesome. It's got a bit of a nice creamy tack to it, sort of, hopefully you can sort of see that on my finger there. It has a beautiful, beautiful slip and feels wonderfully creamy, which I think is pretty darn cool. So this was designed as a beard balm, but there's definitely nothing stopping you from using this on your hair, on the ends of your hair for a bit of a solid hair conditioner, or even just as a sort of a hand lotion. Obviously, because it does contain an emulsifier, if you work it up with a bit of water, it will sort of turn into a bit of a lotion, which I think is pretty cool. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this DIY conditioning beard balm recipe. Check the description box below for the full written recipe with the amounts in metric and imperial, and links to this recipe on my blog. And yeah, subscribe, thumbs up, etc. I will see you next time.